Welcome back, watch fans. Today we are covering the upcoming Sotheby's New York watch auction, June 5th. We're getting into the last of the season right here. A couple of auctions coming up in New York next week or so, 10 days. And this one, of course, is the famous or infamous Sylvester Stallone sealed Patek Grandmaster chime. That's going to be in this sale. And also we got a watch from Bruno Mars. It's kind of an interesting watch with a custom rotor. So we're going to check that out. And let me just send out the invite if anybody wants to hop on the panel. Here we go. All right. And of course, before we get started, we'll do our All right, as you see on the screen, please like, share, and subscribe, and of course, make sure to get our free weekly newsletter in the which you can get by clicking the link in the video description below. With that said, let's jump right into the Sotheby sale. So I'm going to go right to lot. Kind of got some basic lots here. So let's get to lot 12. We're going to cover some vintage, some modern. Just want to bring this up. We got the Tiger Eye dial here. You got this kind of funky mesh bracelet, which Rolex actually was doing for a little while. I guess in the late 70s, 80s. It is a funky bracelet, and you'll notice it's got this big gap between the where the lugs are. Yeah, it's pretty messy. With this watch, I would just get rid of that, put on a leather strap. Now, in terms of Tiger Eye dials, this one is not that great. I mean, they got a 20 to 40,000 estimate, and this again, it's all about when you talk about these stone dials, it's all about the stone, right? The specimen. As I was saying, this one is really boring. I mean, this is like, I'd be surprised if this gets 20 grand. This is not really a good one. But let's keep going. We'll get some interesting Rolex, and we'll jump into the Sylvester Stallone stuff. So this is the pyramid watch, right? This is, and on top of that, it's an oyster quartz. So this is actually, I hate to use this auctionee's hyperbole, but it is very rare, ultra rare. Ultra rare is what this is. Hang on a second. Can we zoom in? No, we can't zoom in. Okay. No, it's not going to zoom in, but all right. This is as good as it's going to get. So you'll notice. I mean, we actually had these watches covered in one of our newsletters a few weeks ago. That's our weekly newsletter, by the way. Which again, click the link to get that free newsletter, and it's kind of an interesting watch. Now, usually they have them in just the regular mechanical movement. This one is oyster quartz, and I actually think these pyramid bracelets with the pyramid bezel, these things actually are future. I don't want to sound like one of these dealers, but yeah, these are something to keep an eye on, because I do think that these are going to be quite desirable in the future. These are definitely going to be desirable. Prices are going to increase, and I'll tell you what. I'll give you my investment thesis in a nutshell. Okay, in a nutshell, what you have here, because you have again the pyramid. It's a geometric shape, and think of another geometric shape watch that's been hot. What am I talking about? I'm talking about the Audemars Piguet, the Royal Oak. That's right. So you got that kind of brutalist design, that again, geometric forms, hard angles, and I think that is going to trickle down to the Rolex pyramid day dates, and these are actually pretty reasonable still, right? 20 to 30,000 again for the oyster quartz, and the regular ones are about 25. Now, the thing with wearing it, I would be extremely careful with wearing it because it's pretty obvious that those all those sharp edges are going to get worn down, right? They're going to get worn down if you wear this. If you're like a desk jockey, you're sitting there at your computer, you're typing, those edges are going to get worn down, and you don't want that to happen. So, you got to wear that under a sleeve. I mean, it's got this kind of 80s. It reminds me of those jackets, those biker jackets, which had those like spikes, the metal kind of those little metal spikes on them. That's what this is. This is the type of watch like you could see like Billy Idol wearing this in, circa 1985. That's what this guy would have been wearing if he knew about it. If he knew about it, he would have worn it. He would have bought it. Again, the quartz thing. People are into the quartz. I'm not into the quartz. I really can't get into the whole quartz thing. I know it's a collectible thing, but I just can't get into it. Anyway, it's going to be interesting to see what this sells for. So we'll find out, right? Speaking of dates, let's look at another one, right? So what's unusual about this, right? Now, this is a 1968. You got kind of a basic dial, right? You got this basic blue dial, white gold. You got a left-hand drive, right? The crown is on the left side. I've never seen that. Never seen that before. Apparently they are rare. So 80 to 120,000 is the estimate. That's what you're paying. That's what you're paying. That's the premium you're paying to have this left-hander. Otherwise, it's like your basic, your basic day date. And not even and the dial is, again, it's kind of one of these, the boring dial blue with these little baby diamonds, as I call them. Is that so? What is it worth for the, in theoretical historical importance of that left-hand drive? I don't know. Should that be that big of a premium? I don't really. I mean, all it is basically rare. The dial is, to me, the whole thing is about the dial, right? Just because you have the crown on the left side, it sells for $100,000 more than a regular one. It's a little weird, right? But then again, and again, I think those Rolex that those like peculiarities of Rolex where people pay for little things. I think those premiums are going to shrink. The margins are going to shrink. People are going to move on to the next thing. Okay. Just want to bring this up. So you got a Ming watch. I've actually never seen one in person. I'd like to actually check it out. They're actually interesting watches, very reasonable. You get them for a couple of grand. And this is DLC coated. So basically, coated in black, honeycomb dial. And it's an edition of 10. Messina Lab, which I guess is an Italian dealer. I think it was an Italian dealer, right? If I'm not mistaken. I might be thinking of somebody else. Messina Lab. What do I know? Okay, let's look at this dial. I gotta say, for me, this watch is kind of a pass. I don't get it. I really don't. I mean, it's a relatively boring. It's a kind of a boring dial. I bet this doesn't even sell. This is going to pass. I mean, it's a boring dial. The brand is not big. I don't get this. I don't get this estimate. It's a limited edition. Who cares? If nobody wants it, it doesn't matter how if it's a piece unique. All right. So let's keep rolling. But yeah, it's kind of weird, right? Here's an unusual Langenzone. This is an early one from when they relaunched. This actually looks like their early watches, like the watches they were doing when, back in the day, pre-war, right? Pre-war, when they were just, Hitler's favorite watch company. This is what the Führer would have ordered, right? One of these, Langenzone, right? So Yeah, a lot of the Germans don't like when I bring this up. The history of Langenzoll. That's a fact, right? I mean, it's it is a fact. Okay, let's move here. We got here. Oh yeah, it's no actually something interesting. I was at a dealer and I was talking about the Glashütte to the salesperson, and I was talking about the Russian thing because the Russians took all the machinery and everything from. I thought it was from both Glashütte and Langenzo. No, she actually corrected me. She's actually Russian. She knows about watches because I have a watch from my grandfather from that period, from 1950s Soviet era, and Vostok watch. And she said no, the Soviets only took from Langenzo. They only took the Langenzo machinery, everything from there, because as reparations, but only because Langenzo was supplying watches to the Nazis, whereas Glashütte wasn't, which is actually, I don't think, I think because they were supplying to the officers, whereas Glashütte was only supplying instrumentation. I don't know, whatever. I don't know if that's true or not, but anyway, it's interesting. So the Soviet era watches are actually, they're actually made from Glashütte parts and machinery. 1950s, Vostok. Okay. I don't know. What do you guys think of these Code 1159s? They're kind of doggy watches, but again, they're kind of. I think the company could evolve. These things could evolve into something interesting, but they are a bit of a dog, barking dog, barking dog. Okay, let's go to. I just want to bring up this thing. We got a Cartier Art Deco 1925. We saw what happened with Cartier in Hong Kong. They had some really strong numbers for those clocks. So it'd be interesting to see if that momentum continues. This is, of course, very different. This is more like your typical Art Deco rock crystal, which I love the rock crystal around it, right? You got the rock crystal. The design is a little bit, it's a little bit staid. It's not that special, to be honest. The overall, wait, is this transparent? No, can't be. I don't believe that. Is it? Is it? I don't know. I don't know, but let's move on. That's interesting, right? But this is, wow, look, what a nice picture here. Nice picture. Cartier Art Deco. Just works. Yeah, very crisp. The dial, though, the case is great. The dial, nothing special really to be candid. Let's see. Oh wow, check it out. We got an Omega Cartier. So this is an Omega with a Cartier, right? Retailed by Cartier. I think Constellation. I think this is what's his name was doing these. Gerald Genta was doing the design for Cartier. So you're getting this pink gold, beautiful hands, and is this the original bracelet? By the way, it's interesting. Look, Omega was a much stronger brand than Rolex in the '60s, and the case backs. Look what they were doing with the case backs. Everybody else had boring case backs. So this is a funky, really funky bracelet, and it's the original bracelet, I'm assuming, right? 10 to 15,000. I think in the 10 grand range, those things are a good deal. Constellation, yeah, Constellation, Pan dial. Let's take a look. Is it a Pan? Yeah. Here you go. It looks like a Pan. It literally does, right? Check it out. It's got the condition is a little bit, yeah. It's a little bit, as you can see, it's a little bit faded. You may have to use like a magic marker to touch up that Cartier logo. Uh, Pretty nice, right? I mean, it's a nice watch. I think without the Cartier, these are like, if I'm not mistaken, these are a couple of grand. Right? I think they're a couple of grand. Is Forbin? Are they? What are these in pink gold without the Cartier? Are they about 3 grand, 4 grand maybe, from the '60s? Okay, let's check out these APs. The AP Cobra. We saw one of these get a crazy price yesterday. Yesterday at the Hong Kong sale, 37,000 US. It was the more funky Cobra one. It was the funky Cobra, the big Cobra, famously as seen worn by the Shah of Iran, Pahlavi, back in the 70s. And it's one of the ugliest watches I've ever seen. These, I think, are also kind of ugly, slightly less ugly. But that Cobra was going for, like, if I'm not, it was like 10, 12 grand. And they were hard to sell. Now, all of a sudden, I don't know what's going on, but they're getting big numbers at auction, 20s, 30s now. So I would not be surprised. It'll be interesting to see what happens with these guys, right? With this little baby Cobra, the baby Cobra, 5 to 10,000 estimate. I think retail, or I should say secondary market, these are like around 8 grand. And by the way, you notice the diamonds on the hands, right? The little baby diamonds on those hands. It's a little tacky. I mean, it's really tacky, I should say. Great bracelet. This Vacheron. Same era, right? 1980. This is really like this is like a 70s design that got carried over. 5 to 10,000 is the estimate. No. The Shah, okay, the watch that he had was the big Cobra. No, actually, no, listen. He was the original buyer for the Royal Oak. The jumbo Royal Oak, which was like what was that? Is that a 40 millimeter or something? It was a big watch. So yeah. It's interesting. Let's take a look. Actually, let me see if I can find this. Let me see if I can I let me see if I let's see if Google. Oh, there we go. Okay, here we go. Yeah, I got to tell you, the Shah, interesting dude. Hang on a second. Check this out. So that's the Shah of Iran. By the way, the Shah of Iran, I mean, actually, the Shah of Iran would have been like the first flex guy. He was 70 years ahead of his time. Why? Because he was buying the Patek Philippe Nautilus, the Royal Oak. He was the first buyer, and he's the guy that ordered the Mercedes G-Wagon. That's right. This is the guy responsible for the G-Wagon, the Mercedes G-Wagon. You got to hand it. The guy had great taste. He really did. They had a great art collection, contemporary art in the 70s, 60s, and 70s, which I think is hanging in Iran. Anyway, that watch on the left, that's his Cobra, which is, nasty looking. Well, check out this Rolex with that funky bracelet. That's interesting. Very modern. That's really interesting. So he was okay. So he was a big watch fan. These are his watches. Yeah, this guy has style. You got to hand it to the guy. Hang on, let me get out of here. Oh yeah, no. Listen, this is anybody who was smart. Any Iranians who were smart, or Persians as they like to call themselves now. They don't want to be associated with Iran or whatever. They all moved to L.A. in the 70s. They all moved to LA in the 70s, in Beverly Hills. And actually, supposedly, from what I understand, is when they came to California, the prices relatively to what they were in Tehran were like really cheap. So they were like, wow, this is like a bargain. So they bought up a lot of Beverly Hills. Yeah. But anyway, let's take a look at the Shah's watches. So yeah, so that was him with his. He's got the golden phone. He's got the 3700, the jumbo. What else? There's the Cobra. That's him wearing the Cobra. He's not. Look at this. He's got a big wrist. Look at this guy. That's a big wrist. Now I had this on my wrist, and the problem with this bracelet, I mentioned this before. It kind of like flares out. It really flares out. It's wears very large. Hang on. So 16. Okay, so they're saying no. These were like 12 grand. They're saying it's 16. No, these are like 12 grand. When was this done? I don't know. Okay, so now the 30. They're going bananas. The king of day dates. Okay, I've never seen this watch. 9 pieces made, all by the Shah, all made. Oh wow. Okay, I got it. Okay, now I see. Okay, so he's the guy that ordered this in platinum, and all for him basically. Okay, really interesting. I'd love to see the back of that clasp. The king. Oh, so they sold them for $225 in 2016. I wonder what it would go for today. This is the there you go. Unbelievable, right? So that, I mean, that guy was really like the Anthony Farrer. He was the Anthony Farrer of the 70s. He was really ahead of his time. You know, with the G-Wagon, with the the G-Wagon, the Royal Oaks. Persian is to Iranian as Italian to Europe. The latter is geographic rather than ethnic. I'm confused. What is the Iranian? I'm actually confused, but the Persians are really, they're actually Indian, right? They're really an Indian type people. They're not Arabs. I think that's why they don't really get along. There's the Iranians, the Persians, and the Arabs do not get along. Hang on a second. Let's see here. Okay. Check this out. Amazing weave, amazing basket weave on this Vacheron. Incredible. I wonder what this wears like. I've never had one of these on the wrist. I've seen them around, but this is, I mean, can you imagine somebody doing that today? It's a lot of work. 5 to 10,000, good deal. Again, black dial, a little bit boring, but okay. Okay, let's get into the Sylvester Stallone stuff. Okay, so these lots are all of Sylvester Stallone's. I mean, really, I don't really care about Panerais. Okay, I'll just bring up this Piaget. Somebody mentioned Piaget, which I don't really care for that much, except for some of the stone dials. So this is a circa 2000 watch. Again, it's a dog with fleas. 6 at 12,000 is the estimate. I mean, this is really a dog with fleas. You couldn't give away this watch. And I don't think this is going to do well. Just because it was owned by Sylvester, just because he had it on his wrist, I don't think it's going to add much value. The Panerais, by the way, I think he had a falling out with Panerai also. I think he had a falling out. I think, yeah, the basket weave is amazing. I think Sylvester Stallone had a big falling out with Panerai, so he's dumping. He's been dumping all his Panerai, and so I don't think those Panerais are going to get a premium because, he's not. I don't think he wants to be associated with that brand anymore. That's what I think. And people are going to figure it out. They're going to figure out that he's telling people that Panerai screwed him over. That basically. He promoted them. He made it. He did make it what it is, and then they didn't pay him or they didn't give him any money, whatever. Which could be. Piaget does, yeah. They have good stuff. Yeah, remember they had. Coincidentally, they also owned. Actually, no, the building at 650 Fifth Avenue. was the Piaget building, famously for this, at least for the 70s and 80s, and it was owned by the Iranians. Actually, I think it was owned by the Shah, or it was owned by Iran. It was owned by Iran, and after the revolution, what happened to it? I don't know what happened. I think did they still own, something happened, but it was a great building. I had the great pleasure and privilege of actually. I didn't quite work there. I was working out of somebody's office there, and that it was. I love that building. I really love that building. It was great. It was really great. Oh, you know who else was in that building? Ivan Boesky. That's right, Ivan Boesky. If anybody remembers Ivan Boesky from the 80s. So Ivan Boesky was in there, Piaget, and it was owned by Pahlavi. I think it was Pahlavi. Yeah, they really should have. They should have paid the guy. They should have paid the guy. Federico. Those are garbage. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, let's go into the Sly collection. Okay, this is what I think is going to be the standout winner. So this is not just a basic Royal Oak. Excuse me, a basic Rolex rose gold green dial, right? And by the way, this is one of my favorites in that date. If you can pull off the rose gold, and not everybody can wear it. I don't know if I could wear the rose gold. It's a very flashy. It's a very flashy look. But rose gold with a green dial is a winner, and it's got his name on the back. It says Sly. And that's the only one of these watches in this whole auction which is associated with it. I don't know if he bought it. I don't know if it was given to him as a gift. We don't know this. We'll find out. And listen, the guy's a hustler, right? He's here to make money, right? I mean, why is he selling these watches, right? Does he need the money? He doesn't want to wear the watch. I mean, this is a great watch. Why wouldn't the guy want to wear this? And he's got a bunch of Rolexes, but this is a great one. I mean, for him, this is like a perfect watch. It's great watch. I mean, shit. Yeah, no, this is very, very Italian watch. Rose gold, green, like the green of the Italian flag of olives. By the way, Italians love green. They love the green color. From Italy, I'm talking about. I don't know about the Americans, but the Italians love green. This watch could get some crazy money if somebody's like a fan of Sylvester Stallone. This is, I think, is going to be the standout of this auction. Then he's got a couple dogs. I mean, what is this? He's got a Cartier Pasha, a dog with fleas, a Panerai dog with fleas, 5711, which is, again, very basic watch. And I think it's just going to get a regular price. Now, this is a stunner. I wonder if this might do a little better. It's a 50th anniversary also, right? 50th anniversary. So you got a 50th anniversary. He had it. He probably wore this watch 5 times at most. At most, the guy wore this watch 5 times. It's a beautiful watch. And it looks a lot better than the photos. So this could, it should be worth like 150 normally, but it might go for, 220, let's say, 220, let's take a look. What else we got? Oh, okay. This is a nice one. So we got the 5711, but again, green dial with the diamond baguettes on the bezel, the bezel, 200 to 400,000. So this one also, I think, could do really well. Only because, the steel, this appeals to like Middle Eastern collectors, right? And for them, the extra flex factor that it was worn by, the biggest American movie actor. I mean, he's basically the biggest movie star I mean, legitimately, the guy's a legitimate movie star, global movie star, right? I'm not saying he's a great actor, but global movie star. Everybody knows what that means, right? That's a big flex factor. So this might get a big number. So I think this one and the day date will be the standouts. Now, let's go to the most notorious watch in the auction, and that is the Grandmaster Flash, the Grandmaster Chime, which I mean, this is a perpetual calendar, chime, everything, right? And the watch, it's got that nice chiming sound. We played a video of it before, and actually, I think this watch is so ugly. I don't find anything appealing about this. I know it's got some big complications, whatever. It is one. It's this watch basically is. It's got the DNA of that Cartier Pasha, the dog. I mean, this is like it's got the Cartier Pasha DNA. It's like a dog with fleas, except it's an expensive watch. It's an application piece. There's only a handful of them out there, or whatever. I think none of them has ever gone to auction. So this guy, he gets the watch. He goes through all the hassle of getting the watch, right? Because I think Thierry Stern, the CEO of Patek, has to approve it. He has to prove that. He has to prove any buyers of that watch. So imagine this: Stallone, puts in his application, and and by the way, he's not just because he's a big movie star or was a movie star. There's like major heavy hitters who want that watch. I'm talking about I don't know, heavy, like ultra top at the upper echelons, who are also real Patek collectors, right? Stallone is not really a Patek collector. I mean, he has a couple pieces, but he's not a guy that's that buys the rare handcrafts, that buys the whole slate, as we would say in the movie business. The slate. He doesn't buy the full slate. He's a sniper. He's a scalper. Okay, and he came in and scalped Patek for this watch, and I'm sure Patek is pissed. They are pissed. Sitting on your desk, and what do you do with it then? Could be. Yeah, you never know. Yeah, he's had a lot of plastic surgery. The guy looks good. What is he, 70 years old? I mean, look, if we all look like him when we're 70, I think that would be amazing. Anyhow, so 2.5 to 5 million. It'd be interesting to see, and it's got his name all over. We did a whole video on this. You could check out the video. I don't want to waste time on this because I'm kind of disgusted with this. But again, this will be interesting to see what happens. It might go for. I don't think it's going to get the big money. I don't think it's going to get the huge money that everybody's expecting. It's probably going to sell within that range. I just want to bring up this Calatrava here. This is a dog with fleas also. I mean, okay, so you got a calendar. We got that track around it. The design is so confusing and it's so like. This is like the modern era. I'm calling this the modern era, the Thierry Stern era of Patek, where they started doing stupid watches. I really don't like these at all. Yeah. Anyhow, yeah, this is again Thierry Stern era of watches. Whatever. I have no interest in this. Let me move along to see if we have something more interesting. A lot of Panerai. It's a lot of Panerai in this auction. Are these Stallones? No, they're just Panerai shitters. I don't get the thing for Panerai. I mean, their big claim to fame was that they were worn by Italian. What do you call it? The Navy, the Italian Navy. the underwater guys, demolition, like I guess Italian SEALs. But let's be honest, the Italian Navy or the Italian Army, that don't exactly have a great reputation as winners, right? They really don't. They're not like the winning army. So I mean, when was the last time they won a war? What's the old joke? I know the Italians will be pissed off at me. So mi dispiace, mi dispiace. What's the old joke about why does the Italian Navy have boats with glass bottoms so they could look at the old Italian Navy, right? It's a joke. Anyhow, so yeah, I don't get the whole thing with those watches. Like it's not a flex. So this is weird. So you got this new brand, Toledano and Chan, which we did a review on their watch. They came out with this watch, which is basically a knockoff of the King Midas and some other stuff in steel. But this they did and they just launched, right? They just launched, but all of a sudden, I guess they're trying to hype up the brand or whatever. And it's actually kind of smart. They did a one-off piece, which they consigned to Sotheby's, probably because Toledano may be a big customer of Sotheby's. I don't know. They have a relationship. This is a good relationship, obviously, right? So what is this? It's carbon fiber infused with copper. And I don't know if anything has ever been done like that before. It probably has like a shine to it, right? When it hits the light. It probably looks interesting. I mean, it's like the punters were not fans of the watch. I think it just has too much. Look, you got to give the guys credit. Interesting design. There's a lot of stuff on, especially on the steel bracelet you could see, but it's just too much of a King Midas vibe. It's just too much of an homage thing. 6 to 12,000, and so the regular one sells for $4,000 or something, $5,000, and it's it's just some movement that they buy, whatever, a Solita movement. So this one is a 6 to 12. It's a piece unique. But does that mean it's going to be worth anything? It's a hard pass for me. Okay, we got some nice Pateks here, 60s. Oh, the world time. Oh, you want to talk about the world time? I'll go back to the world time in just a second. You know what? I'll bring up this, which is the travel time. This is a weird, which again, the reason I like to do these videos is because it gives me an opportunity to discover something otherwise I would not have looked at. So this is an early travel time, a dual time, basically, right? The problem is, and this is like so goofy. I mean, this watch should not exist, basically. This is the dumbest watch ever. So this basically, on the modern travel time, you got those two pushers, those two pushers. You use them to advance the hour hand backwards and forwards by an hour. So if you're going into a new time zone, which is an hour ahead, you push the pusher, I think, at the top, and it goes forward by an hour or back, whatever. So I have the modern version, which is a great watch. I think it's a great watch. It's got a 24-hour indicator. It's actually very useful, right? But this thing doesn't have that other hand that, so you have a dual time. So basically, the only purpose of those two pushers is, again, to move the hour hand, which you could just as easily do by unscrewing the crown. Actually, you don't have to unscrew it. Just pop it out, and you advance the thing by an hour. It takes you a minute to do that, right? Like, this has got to be for the laziest people. It's the dumbest movement, but really the dumbest thing ever. But 70 to 120,000 is the estimate. Because it's this, again, this kind of a rare thing, whatever. But it's a dumb movement. I don't think it should. I don't think it deserves a premium. I mean, I understand it was okay. It was a novelty, but really, are you that lazy? Are you that lazy that you can't advance the hand by an hour? It doesn't even have a 24-hour. I mean, it's the dumbest thing ever. Okay, so you get the world time. which famously we refer to this as the sex tourist watch, named after Archie Luxury and other punters. This looks like a very, minty piece, right? Unpolished. Is it a full set? Yeah, that's a full set. See, that's how you're supposed to buy it. Full set. Box papers. And you got a little plastic. You got the little plastic on the feet of that case. You see that? So that's extra. Actually, that does add a little bit of value, probably. The plastic on the metal feet. 20, 30. This is like a $25,000 watch, right? So I actually like this older version, right? It's got a charm. It's got a charm, you know. I like these in the warmer colors, yellow gold, rose gold, because it's a vintage looking watch, right? The gear shade, it's got that vintage vibe. And the travel time, by the way, has the same crown guards. I like the travel time better. I like the travel time better, but for 25 grand. So the travel time is about 20 grand today, full set. And this is, let's say, 28 grand maybe, full set. It's hard to say what's the better value. Is it, are you better off spending 8 grand more? I think maybe you are. I don't like this complication, but for some people it has. It's kind of a very vintagey look for Patek. Whatever. Okay, let's skip ahead past these. Yes, yeah, in yellow gold. I have some videos of it here with the green strap, shark skin strap. Okay, so these are, by the way, these are, Patek was doing these beautiful classic designs in the 50s. Look at this. Timeless today. And these could be, I think, a good value in the market for 20 grand. A watch like this, again, it's going to be obviously higher. So here's the thing that Sotheby's is doing now. They changed their commission structure. So now it's a 20% flat buyer's premium, which is nice that they finally reduced it. I'm actually surprised that they did that. Really surprised. They reduced. Did they reduce the sell? Now for sellers, it's a little different. But also, what they did is they introduced a success fee. So anything that goes, so I think it's 10% seller commission, but anything that sells over the high estimate gets then all of a sudden they charge you 2% extra of the hammer price. So they kind of they could get you to the same 22, whatever. I don't know why they did that, because who are they really competing? I mean, like, again, we're talking about like things under, what is it, under $1 million that you get that 20%. And look, I'm glad they did that, but I don't know why. To be more competitive. Okay, so we got a great Patek Philippe here. We've seen a couple of these very, very early wrist, like literally one of the first wrist watches. At this time, everybody had pocket watches, and this is 1914, I think. It's a wristwatch. Very, wow. I mean, the numbers are great. It's kind of, it's not Art Deco. It's like this is it Art Nouveau, kind of Art Nouveau. What is it? I don't know what period this is. You got this nice curve. And I think it's a big watch, right? What is it? It's a 50 millimeter. Wow, it's actually quite big. So 50 millimeters, it's a big watch. So we've seen a couple of these at auction. Of course, what's his name has one? The son of the guy from LVMH. We got a jumbo, Patek jumbo, Gubelin signature, which I don't know if the Americans realize. So a Gubelin, major Swiss retailer. I think they're in Germany also, right? And they have a long relationship with Patek, very long. I mean, they're very deeply intertwined. So it's to me, this is as good as Tiffany. I mean, obviously the name is not as well known, but it is historically just as important. I mean, they did special watches. I mean, they have a very deep relationship. So interesting over there. Let's see what else we got here. We got 3 of these Kanjar dials here, which I don't know. This is just whatever. I've seen so many of these. Let's see what else is interesting. Let me go through. I'm gonna skip to wow. What is this? This is an early Yachtmaster, 2005. Oh, actually, it's not early, but the first edition. This is It's a woman's watch, right? 29 millimeter. Why do they have this in the sale? I mean, it probably came as part of a whole thing. I mean, it's not that great. They have 2 of them. Strange. Wow. So this is a Gubelin, another watch for Gubelin. This was Danners. I don't know this company. Actually, no, I don't know anything about this. This is IWC, so this is an astronomical calendar, day night, moon phase, zodiac sign. But this is 1983. It's a modern watch. You get the Gubelin thing in the back, right? 10 to 20,000 is the estimate. Wow. Okay, so interesting. I mean, this looks like a very old watch, old pocket watch. So Richard Danner's master watchmaker, project manager for Google Credit. He made this watch. Huh. Okay. And they only made a few of these. Okay. Very interesting. Okay. And this was with IWC. So this is again. I'm a fan of pocket watches. I need to get a pocket watch. Okay, so but interesting. Jules Jurgensen. Jules Jurgensen actually was bigger than Patek when this watch was made. I mean, they were like the Patek of Patek today. And what is it? A Danish company, right? I think they're Danish. Minute Repeater, 1880. Pateks were selling for like half the price of these guys. Patek was like a discount brand back in the 1890s. Do I think it's safer to buy vintage Patek? You mean vintage Patek versus other vintage watches? I think vintage Patek always has, they got a very deep fan base. So there's a very deep fan base for vintage Patek. So whereas a lot of other stuff is much more, thinly traded, so to speak. Watchmaker for Google. Okay. Orange, hop on the panel. There we go. Anybody's welcome to hop on the panel. I don't know anything about this Daners. This guy Orange probably knows about these watches. So Orange, you click the link if you want to jump on. Okay, so what else? We get some more minute repeater. There's some pocket watches. What is this? This looks like a very early watch. It's not. It's a 2000 Torque 2. It's kind of an ugly watch. I mean, really, for Cartier, this looks like such a dog. Looks like a dog. I don't even want to look at this watch. 25 to 40,000 estimate. What is so special about this watch? Chronograph monopusher, white gold, single button chronograph. Single button. Okay, so monopusher. So single button chronograph. So because the movement, the mechanics give it that extra value. It's just so ugly. Wait. Oh, okay. Here we go. Here we go. The watch is powered by the caliber 045 MC, which was made by THA et Bosch, Technique Horloger Appliquée, a joint venture between Vianney Halter, Dennis Flageolet, and Francois Paul Journe. So I guess the movement, it's got a little bit of prestige factor. I heard of this company. I don't know too much about it. Like, it doesn't. I'm not that much into the movement thing. To me, the face is the most important thing. Okay. Oh, I'm glad we had that comment up there to cover that ugly watch before. Now, this is amazing. This is, I think, going to be, again, there's a couple. I think there's going to be a couple big winners in this auction, which is going to be that Stallone. That Stallone day date. This guy over here. So this is a Audemars Piguet minute repeater. It's a modern watch. This is a 2000 watch, right? It's a piece unique, made for the 125th anniversary. Minute repeater. How much is a? Think about it this way. How much is a Patek minute repeater? 6 figures, easy. So this thing might be an interesting surprise, right? Does it say piece unique? No, it does not, but it is. No, it does say right there, piece unique. Piece unique, 125 on. And you get the display back. Pretty nice, huh? So, and AP has a strong history in minute repeaters, going back to the history. That's what I read anyway. No, this is going to be a great watch. I mean, this is the watch to get. Look how good it looks here. You got that guilloche. This watch, this probably looks much better in person, actually. So I think this is one to keep your eye on. Anyhow, we got this funky Harry Winston here. We got a couple more lots I want to cover, but again, always interesting to see these like really avant-garde watches from Harry Winston. And this was tourbillon with a linear power reserve, so it goes linear instead of around. It's also crazy stuff. 40 to 80,000. Usually these things are cheap, right? They're usually kind of cheap, but I don't know why. Let's see, what do we got here? We got AP Concept. We got some RMs. Oh shit, we got a Black Panther. We got the cartoon watch. $350,000 to $600,000. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. This is. I wonder how this is going to do, because this is like the public sale, right? This is going to be where the rubber meets the road. It's going to be pretty transparent if this is a flop. Uh, the Black Panther, 350 to 600,000. That's heavy money, really heavy money. I mean, ridiculous, ridiculous. I don't know. Would you rather have the Black Panther or would you rather have Stallone's tourbillon? I mean, they're both tourbillons, right? And one is in gold, and this one is like. I mean, this looks like a comic, like literally a cartoon watch. Looks like something you get in a box of cereal. It's a box of cereal watch. That's what that is. Um. Anyhow, RM. Yeah, I like these early. Kind of some of these earlier RMs. I think there's going to be value in these because they look more normal. They look like they're going to age well as opposed to the others, and they're kind of historically important, I guess. So this is titanium. We've seen one in gold, in the rose gold, and when you see these, they actually look like it's like a normal watch. Like it looks obviously it's different, but at least you can wear it without looking like you're not going to look like a clown with one of these watches. Like if you're really a believer in RM, you would get something like this, and it's a value. It's 50 grand. Now, why is this again? Why is 50 to 100 is the estimate, right? 50 to 100 estimate versus well, they don't have any simple ones here, so okay, we can't really point to one. You got a Hublot. I don't want to look at that. Okay, so we got the Bruno Mars. So this is a watch that Bruno Mars. Now I heard the name. I actually don't know any of his music. I may have heard. I'm sure I've heard something, but I don't know. Like I don't know the new music, because I'm an old man, I guess. So I don't know what this guy does. But so I read this here. So this is a 2018, right? Check out the watch. Really nice, right? And we've seen one of these in a collection. Yeah, this is the yellow gold, the champagne. We actually did a review of a collection, a guy who had one of these. So he ordered 8 of these. And he gave them to his bandmates, people who were in his band. And what's interesting is he got this rotor customized where it says JA. What does that mean? What does that stand? Does anybody know what that means? Is that like some sort of Bruno Mars thing? I don't know. What does it mean? And it says magic, some sort of magic 8 tour, whatever, magic 8 tour. Let's read this here. The present lot especially made for his 24K Magic World Tour and gifted to each member of the Hooligans, the talented band accompanying Bruno Mars. Oh, okay. Furthermore, the rotor features engraved initials of every band member. Oh, shit. We know who's selling it. Oh, that's kind of insulting to Bruno Mars. Okay, so every band member got the rotor with their initials. So JA was for Jamario Artis, the esteemed bass guitarist. Oof. Wow. Jamario, you really need Jamario, how could you sell this watch? What's going on with the Jamario? What happened did he blow all his money after that tour? Well, this is a while back. These guys can run through money quickly. This is 6 years ago. So expressing a sentiment. So basically, he bought a Royal Oak for everybody with the rotor, custom rotor with their initials. That's a big move, right? I mean, I'm sure they gave him a deal because he's buying 8 watches. They want to be associated with these musicians that are popular. So he probably paid retail, just basic retail. But still, these are like 100 grand a piece, 100 grand a piece. That's big money. That's $1 million. So you wrote him a note. My boys continue to show the world what time it is, and a band that sings together blings together. Well, the band is not blinging together. That's right. Jamario has left the bling. He's left. That's a big gift, right? To gift a band. I mean, to just the guys in the band. I mean, these guys are basically paid. They're just hired hands, right? Usually, these guys aren't treated that well. Even these music, because the main guy is the singer, and the musicians are basically hired hands. I mean, they get paid well, but these are very generous. This guy reminds me of like, was it Sammy Davis that was known for like giving extravagant gifts, and he went bankrupt because he just was giving gifts. I mean, he spent a lot of money. And Bruno, it was in Vegas, and Bruno Mars, I think, also blew like $40 million at the MGM. He owes them $40 million, so he's got to sing for them for a couple of years. Gambling losses. Hey, I mean, the guy, it's his watch. But it's very public because look, everybody knows he's selling it, right? That's like, I don't know. It's a little bit of an insult. What corporate job gifts gold AP these days? Yeah, I don't know. That's a nice gift. Maybe I should start learning to play an instrument. This guy was very generous. Bruno Mars, very generous guy. So, too bad, Jamario. I mean, that is kind of an insult to your face. Like, hey, man. I mean, it's a very personal thing. He puts your initials on it. I mean, these guys were on tour, the whole thing, and now you're selling the watch. In a way, he's basically saying, like, hey, this, Bruno Mars is kind of not going to be relevant in 10 years. Because, look, if this was like a major part of a major musician or whatever, they'd probably hold on to it, right? That's what I think. What is this? So is this a ladies' watch? Yeah, it's a ladies' watch. Okay. Platinum and diamond set, 15 to 30,000. Okay, Nautilus. Okay, this is one of my favorites actually. The Patek 3800. I've talked many times about how I kind of missed the boat on these. I missed the boat. I may get back into the boat. And I was interested in the blue dial, the classic, the two-tone with the blue dial. But the champagne, which is actually cheaper, it's growing on me. The champagne dial is growing on me because it's got that 70s look. It actually looks pretty good. So this is a Tiffany dial. So a regular champagne dial would be roughly 31 grand, 30 grand, 32 grand. The blue dial is like 6 grand more usually. And this is a Tiffany. It's got a Tiffany dial. And the thing though is, it's so hard to read it. I think it's almost fading away. Like, is it really worth it? This watch looks a little funky. It looks like it's a little, yeah. You know what? I also don't like that date. I don't like the font on that date wheel. I like the early one, which is the sans serif, the more modern one. This looks kind of ugly. It doesn't go. It really does not go. This date wheel does not go with the Gerald Genta design. It really doesn't. You got to have sans serif. That's the way Gerald Genta did it. Anyway, 35 to 55. How much extra should the Tiffany thing add? Maybe 10 grand all in. So 45 grand, 50 grand, maybe. I don't think it's really worth that much. It's not. I don't think it's that special, to be honest. Okay, one of my favorite watches. the perpetual calendar 5740, white gold. The blue on this is absolutely stunning. Yeah. Oh yeah. Right. Imagine. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So basically, that guy, what's his name? Whatever his name is, we already forgot his name, but he basically was saying that Bruno Mars is not John Lennon, basically. Yeah. Well, actually, no. No. The reality is this. Listen, I'm kind of trolling a little bit here. Look, the guy. The reality is the guy. Yeah, probably doesn't even doesn't even wear the watch or whatever, and maybe he had a falling out. Hey, we don't know. We don't know the details with these people, right? We don't know. That could be the thing. Maybe the guy is doing very well. He had a falling out with Bruno Mars, and this is just like an FU to Bruno Mars saying, hey, here's your watch back. Here's throwing it back in your face. At auction. Very publicly. So very publicly, the guy is throwing the watch back in his face. They may have had a falling out. So what's the estimate here? So this is a low estimate. I think this is kind of one of these estimates designed to, help Sotheby's, get a little bit more of that buyer's premium. So 120 to 240 is the estimate, and these are going for about 200 all in at auction, right? We saw one sold at Loop this for 200. At retail they're like 210. I'm talking about secondary market. At Patek, at the boutique, they're like 155, I believe. But again, hard to get. Supposedly hard to get. All right, so let's go through some of these tomato can watches. So we got a white gold Aquanaut, 65 to 80 blue dial. This looks great. I mean, it really looks great with this blue dial. The pattern here, not all the Aquanauts have that same pattern, right? The early ones, they all have subtle differences. And this one here, this kind of grenade pattern, it looks a lot better. I think this is the best execution they've made. But again, it's just a basic Patek. Very, very basic watch. Why is it worth, 80 grand or whatever it's going to sell for, 100 grand? I don't see it. It's just a very basic watch. And it's going to look dated very quickly, especially this rubber strap. It's just okay, let's finish off with a couple perpetuals. I bet these are from the same consignor. They look like they were never worn. Full set, right? I mean, it's basically a brand new watch, right? So 50 to 100,000 is the estimate. And this is the new version of the perpetual. The new version, which is, how big is this? This is like 30. What's the size? These look a little big. No, it doesn't make sense. 35 millimeter? Whoa. 30. Something's not right. Am I missing something? Is this a lady's watch? No. I don't know what's going on here. It doesn't sound right. But anyway, this so you got the Clou de Paris. You got the yeah. It's not as good as the 3940. The hands are kind of doggy. Yeah, it's not. I don't think it's gonna. The money is not in those perpetual in that new modern perpetual. Let's take a look. What happened here? The screen froze. Oh shit! I don't even want to waste time on that watch, and the screen froze. All right, let's go back to this. I just want to see what the last one. I mean, this auction is really not that great. Outside of the Stallone stuff, they don't really have any like real standouts here. There's nothing really that exciting. Let's take a look. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, let's go back. Okay, so you got the chocolate dial. These have to. They must have come from the same guy, right? 30. I don't know. 35. What size is 5039R? It can't be 35 millimeter. Let me take a look. I'm annoyed now. Let's take a look. Patek 5039. I'm looking here on Chrono. Right? What size are they showing for these? What? 35 millimeter. Can't be. I don't. Does anybody know about this watch? This can't be 35 millimeter. So one guy has it as 36 millimeter. Let me take a look. 5039. I'm really annoyed with this 5039. That's weird. Some guys are saying it's 35, some are 36. Anyhow, it doesn't matter. It's so the Clou de Paris is a bit of a. It's not popular. So, I heard somewhere that the Clou de Paris is considered, the hobnail is considered like an old man look. Old people love it. Older people, boomers. They're saying that boomers love this look, which I think is kind of an insult, no? I don't. Let me see. Okay, so the cheapest one on Chrono is about 49 for white gold, 55 for yellow gold. I think this could be a good look, but I don't like the hands. The hands are kind of doggy. It's a bit of a dog. It's a little over. It's a little too much. There's a little too much going on, I think, with this watch. The Clou de Paris is a little bit trop Clou de Paris. Okay, let's see what else we got. We got some more world times. Bogota. That's interesting. Wow. Okay, so this was a limited edition white gold world time 4 Joyeria Bauer in Bogota. So a Colombian jewelry store, I guess a watch dealer. They probably had a long relationship. How long have they probably been selling? They did 10 of these for Colombia. Oh, it's also, yeah. So some of these South American jewelry stores, watch stores, have been around for like since the 1800s. So this was created for the 125th anniversary of Joyeria Bauer, a retailer of Patek Philippe in the Colombian capital. They probably were selling Patek like since the 19th century. Like some of those Brazilian ones that had the gondola. Oh, gondola, like a gondola, right? That's really interesting. I mean, like, that's a big deal, right? So Bogota. I mean, how many people are in Bogota? I mean, actually, a lot. There are actually quite a few. Are they all drug dealers? I'm actually surprised that there's a Bogota edition of this. So for any of you, any cocaine aficionados, it's the right color, white, right? White gold. Maybe was that a hint? Was that kind of like, did they think about that? Did they think about that? No, I'm not saying that every Colombian is a drug dealer. I'm not saying that at all. I've never been there. I've never actually. I should check it out. I've been invited there because I know a lot of people. Not a lot, but I know some guys who've lived there who are actually, like legitimate Americans and Canadians are halfway legitimate, but yeah, they love it there. What else we got? 5970. Okay, this is again one of these Pateks which always gets these big prices. The research, advanced research division. And what are you getting though? What are you getting? I don't know. They're doing this sort of extra little thing. They they show you a little bit more of the movement. Is it worth paying that money? It's a big premium. $420,000 to $650,000 is the estimate. I don't know. They got some little extra thing that is it more accurate? I don't know. Does anybody know about the advanced research stuff? I just can't really see. I can't justify that type of price, right? Because the regular watch is what, like $100,000, less than $100,000. A regular Aquanaut travel time. Yeah, you get the calendar. Okay, so big deal. Big deal. I mean, you have that on the regular one, right? So let me see. Let's see. How much is the regular one? Yeah, these prices are nuts. 5650. Let's see. Patek. So regular Patek travel top Aquanaut is, let's take a look. I don't know these watches that well. I don't know the Aquanaut. Is it steel? It's steel, right? Steel. Okay. So the steel one is $75,000 about on the secondary market. $75,000. And let's compare with the travel time without the calendar, which is $20,000. So this is rose gold a little bit more. Yeah, I think, look, the Aquanaut thing is really like a and by the way, they've made, I think in the last year, they've made more Aquanauts than they've made in their entire history, like in the last year. So this is a cash cow for them. The Aquanaut is just basically a cash grab. That's how they're paying for their new factory. They just spent $1 billion on a new factory. How do you think they're going to pay for it? I mean, they're Swiss, so they're very conservative. They're not going to take out any big loans or anything. Or if they do, they want it paid off as quickly as possible, right? So, they see that, look, when the ducks are quacking, you got to feed the ducks. So the ducks, the tomato cans, the crayon eaters, when the crayon, okay, guys, I'm introducing a new line. There's a famous line called, when the ducks are quacking, you got to feed the ducks, right? So when the crayon eaters are quacking, you got to feed them the crayons. And that is what Patek is doing. Patek is feeding the crayon eaters. They are feeding the crayon eaters with these crayons, and it's not going to end well. I bet these things are going to be half price in a couple of years. The Aquanaut market is going to drop, and it'll never come back. I think the Aquanaut market is going to drop because the thing is this, right? When you think about like fashion trends with all these things, with everything, right? These things all go in cycles. Like, you know how it is, the famous cliche, like, kids don't want to wear the type of clothes that their parents wear, or they don't want to listen to the music that their parents listen. Every generation wants to do its own thing, right? So who's buying this watch now? Whatever tomato cans are buying this watch, I don't know. Are they boomer? I don't know, whoever's buying it, right? If you look 10 years out, I really believe that these Aquanauts, these hype watches like the Richard Mille, a lot of that stuff from the crypto the COVID crypto era, that stuff is going to be seen as like a cliche type of watch, like an 80s era. Like the way we look at two-tone watches, or we were looking at two-tone watches as like a 70s or 80s thing. Well, that's the way people are going to be looking at these watches in a couple of years. They're going to be seen as, just a dated, exactly, a dated it's a fashion. It's something it's like bell bottoms. It's going to be like bell bottoms or baggy jeans, or, well, look what's going on with jeans, right? First you had those jeans that were like low cut, low rise. I'm talking about for women, right? Like they had those very low rise that like went down to like, basically like, how should we say it? This is a family friendly show, but they were very low, right? And now they went to high rise, right? Now they're like these mom jeans or whatever, loose cuts. It's like, and then who knows where it's going to be. But and nobody's wearing those tight low rise jeans anymore, unless they're out of fashion. So yeah, I think in 10 years, but I think what's going to be hot in 10 years could be like the early Richard Mille models, right? We don't know. Really, we have no idea. You don't know. Some things might have. But again, even the Royal Oak, the Nautilus, that was out of fashion. Actually, I remember when I first saw the Royal Oak in the 90s, when I first noticed it, I thought it was an ugly watch because of that gray dial. The gray tapisserie dial. I still think they're ugly. But with, when they changed the dials, all of a sudden they look better. Yeah, exactly. Britney Spears and Christina Aguilera. Hit Me Baby One More Time. That's right. That is what this watch is going to be. It's going to be it's going to be that. It's going to be, what this watch is going to be? It's going to be like, how it's going to be the Von Dutch or Van Dutch trucker hat. Von Dutch, it's going to be the trucker hat. This watch is going to be the trucker hat of watches. Remember how like all these guys are wearing those trucker hats, the Von Dutch or Van Dutch, in the circa 2008, and now, or what's the other stuff they were wearing? The wild striped shirts, or what's the other brand? Affliction. Affliction. What? I never understood that. What was that brand? I remember whenever I went out to like the West Coast, I'd see these douchebag wearing Affliction. Yeah, Ed Hardy. Ed Hardy, Affliction. What are those? I never understood those brands. They had those T-shirts with like rhinestones or some sort of stuff, or jeans, or with those brands on them. It was all just douchebags, right? And now, by the way, I actually do believe that those Ed Hardy T-shirts, if you can buy new old stock, that stuff could be big in like 20 years' time. If you want to put it away for your grandkids, you buy them like a penny on the dollar, they could be worth big money in like 20 years. Oh, yeah, were they like tattoo designers? I don't get by the way, the whole tattoo thing also is going to be like, I don't understand people getting the tattoos. And now I see this stuff in Asia. Like you never saw Asians with tattoos unless they were like Yakuza, because that was like considered really a taboo. And now I see there's a guy, I've seen a couple of these guys, like watch collectors on Instagram, like guys, Chinese guys in Singapore or whatever. And their arms are covered with these ugly tattoos. Like hideous tattoos. I think there's a guy named Johnson or something. This guy Johnson on Instagram. I don't know, is that his real name? He's got some heavy hitter watches, big collect. He's got the ugliest tattoos I've ever seen in my life, which is, I mean, kind of a. I don't know if his family has disowned him yet, but yeah, the problem with tattoos is those things. It's like fashion, also, right? You know, those tattoos are going to be out of fashion. Like, you know, everybody had those tattoos, the tramp stamp, or the thing on their armband, the tribal, whatever. I don't even, look. I'm not a tattoo guy. I don't know, but you know, all those. Oh, that's right, Anthony has the tattoos. And by the way, they're expensive. I think Anthony paid like 25 grand. I had no idea these things cost that much. 25 grand, I think he spent, or some crazy amount of money for the tattoos. I'm actually surprised. But yeah, that's absolutely crazy. Anyway, all right, we're gonna wrap it up on with this auction here. Back to this. So you got the Patek Philippe here. What else do they have here? Okay, last watch. I don't get this one either. You know? Okay, you have a perpetual calendar, but it's a minute repeater. So again, you know, that's a big thing for Patek, right? The minute repeater. But the price, 700,000 to $1.2 million, 700 to $1.2 million. This is a brand new watch, basically. 42 millimeter. So it's an enamel dial. I'll tell you what I don't like about this watch. So the basic layout, you know, you had this kind of classic 39, you know, based on 3940. Again, they should have just stopped there, right? Where should I start? Again, this is a Thierry Stern era of watches. The Breguet numerals, you know, I'm not a fan of. The hands, the sword hands, or whatever they call it, with the loomed sword hands, ugly. The details. Look at the calendar thing. You got this kind of modern sans serif thing, but then you use Breguet. I mean, the fonts are all. It's a hot mess. This watch is a hot mess. This dial is a hot mess. And just because you have a minute repeater, somebody should be paying you a 700,000, $1 million, $1 million. Actually, I think a Patek perpetual calendar, a 3940 minute repeater version, is about 400. Wait, let me see. Let's take a look. What is the cheapest? Let's go to low to high. Minute repeater perpetual. That's decent looking. Okay, what is this? So we got. So this one is 551,000 retail, and I mean, it's also very boring looking. This one looks really boring. How big is this? They're not saying. Really boring. I'm looking for the one that was like they did a version of the 3940. Yeah, but actually these things, look, they do sell for $1 million, right? What kind of tomato can pays $1 million for that watch? I'm sorry, I don't get it. Whoa. Now this. This. I've never seen this. This is a 2024 watch. I've never seen this. Wow. Now there is a wow factor. That is a wow factor. Hang on a second. Let me zoom in here. Okay. Okay. So see, you have here, you got the same thing with the fonts, but at least you don't have the breguets. So at least it makes more sense. I could do without the sword hands. Um, but look at these, like, what are these sapphire baguettes? The purple is beautiful. I'm assuming it's purple, right? It looks, yeah, I think it's purple, right? Wow, it's like a fume purple. It like sucks you in. Platinum 2024. What size? 42 millimeter. The dial is blue. It looks purple to me. Do they have the watch? I don't think they have the watch. A lot of these people that put up these things, so you got the whole diamonds thing around. I've never seen this. When was this released? Don't know about it. Do you guys know about this watch? Is this part of the rare handcrafts line? Blue lacquered, black gradient. Okay. Who else has this? $4,182,180. Oh, it's the same guy. 4,182,000. I mean, at least I can see it. Whatever. It's something interesting. This guy here is almost 3 million for perpetual minute repeater, but you got a skeleton. Again, the hands. Oof, those hands are so nasty. It's like a mess. I mean, this is. Let me tell you something. Patek is very capable of making a watch that's an absolute hot mess. Like, what is going on here? Again, the hands, horrible. It's the little details. Okay, there we go. 3974. That's what I was. That's the number I was looking for. So this is the 3940, but as a minute repeater. That's the way it should be done. Oh, this is an old one. 1989. Yeah, 1989. Wow. Now that, look at this. That's a classic design. That is going to age. I mean, today, it looks as good as it did back then. Dolphin hands. That's the way you're supposed to do it. Dolphin hands. Come on, guys. Jeez. How big is this? 36. So 36 millimeter. It's the same size as the proper, and this is the case maker's thing. So it's the same size as 3940. A little details. That's the watch. 3974 full set. Wow. I think those like 400 or 600 grand. All right. Yeah, we've never seen it. Yeah, there's 90% of the people on Chrono are selling stuff off of photos that they don't have. They don't have any of that. It's they take a picture or they get a picture of stock photos. So whenever you buy in Chrono, I would insist on seeing a video. I would tell them, look, make a video on WhatsApp. Show me the watch. I want to see the watch in your possession. I don't want to see any tomato can stuff. I don't want to see any of that nonsense. Speaking of which, we're going to have to start selling stuff. We're going to actually start selling watches on this channel. Yeah, that's what we have to do. That's the next step. That is the next step. I had I had a dealer on, right? That was an experiment. That was an experiment with that guy from what's his name? The collector's guy. And the camera work of the watches was bad, but I think we're going to show some quality video, and we're going to move some inventory. That's what we're going to do. we are going to move watches. I don't know. What do you guys think? Would you buy a watch from this guy here? I mean, do I have a face for television or for radio? For radio, right? I mean, people say that I look like a used car salesman, or I sound like a used car salesman, whatever it is. I don't know. No, honestly, I mean, like, would you would you buy a watch if I'm selling a watch, right? If I say, hey, guys, we got a special. We got a special here on the Royal Oak, the Owl. Now, again, this is all going to be obviously, full set box paper stuff, or maybe if it's vintage, or maybe not, but all like legitimate stuff, obviously. But would you buy a watch off of a YouTube channel for live stream? Bring your watch, and we say, hey guys, this watch is 25 grand, wires only. No, seriously, legitimately, wires only. If you want to do credit card, yeah, obviously you can pay a little extra. So I don't know. You got the old money, New York finance dad. Shit, am I that old? Shit, finance dad. I don't know if that's I don't know if I like that. I don't know if I like that, finance dad. That's not a good thing. But yeah, we're gonna find out. We're gonna experiment. Now I don't know. Okay, here's a question. I'm doing a little survey here. I don't know anybody watching. A serious question. I should do a survey. What if we don't have the watch, right? For example, I'm not going to show you the watch. Let's say I do the live stream, right? But legit, we actually have the watch, right? The dealer has the watch. I basically put you in touch with the dealer. Like we basically, here's what I'm thinking, right? We'll pick out like a dozen watches, kind of like I did with the Long Island guy. I picked out like a dozen watches from his inventory that I thought were good, interesting watches that were also priced right. The problem, I think, the way they did it was he comes across a little bit sleazy, to be honest, on video. He's a legitimate guy, but it's the camera work was horrible because he was basically doing this. He had a webcam. It's got to be done with a professional cam. You got to have real good video so people see what they're getting. But so what if we do this, right? We do a live stream. We show video, like high res 4K of the watch, not like this, but like on the side, we're showing the high res video of the watch, and we give you the price. Which is going to be one of the lower prices in the country. And what we say is this: look, you like the watch, right? This is our kind of curated selection. We're basically giving you a curated selection of watches that we think are going to be good deals, good buys, and also have upside potential legitimately, right? Watches I'd buy myself. So the deal is this, right? If you're interested in the watch, you get in touch, and the dealer invoices you direct, right? So the money goes directly, and they're all like respectable dealers. You don't have to worry about it. And the dealer invoices you. And how do we make money? I'm not sure. Do we get a small percentage, like 2% or something, or do we just say, look, this is only for members of the channel? You got to be a subscriber of the channel, and they'll give you a good deal. But either way, there's going to be a good deal. So here's the thing. So bottom line is you're going to have a great price. You're going to have one of the lowest price, probably the lowest price in the country. You'll see the video on camera. Excuse me, you'll see the video on screen. And we'll do it that way. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Yes, no? If you're watching this video later, let me know what you think. But that is going to be the format. Yeah, I mean, yes, Chrono does take a 6% cut. Yeah, sometimes you can get a deal. But here's the thing also. So here's the advantage. If you buy through this channel, what you're going to get is you're going to have a little bit of recourse, because a lot of these guys in Chrono, you're buying from them one time or whatever it is. You're like it's a one-shot deal. I'm not. Some of these guys, they're a little bit shifty, right? Whereas if you buy through the channel, the dealer knows that, hey, he's going to be getting more business through us. There's a relationship, and if he doesn't do the right thing, we're going to put him on blast, as the kids say. So he doesn't want bad publicity on a channel, which we get a decent amount of views, right? So, and I have no problem if a guy, if a guy basically screws a customer. I have no problem, making that public, because there should be transparency. And yeah, you really do have to watch out. A lot of these dealers, they're a little bit shifty. If you don't ask them the right questions, they're not gonna volunteer information and say, hey, there's something wrong with this, or it's missing this or that. They're not gonna volunteer that, right? So you need kind of somebody to be your kind of advocate in a way. Anyway, just curious to see what you guys think. Anyway, that's it. That wraps it up. Thank you for joining us. See you in the next one. And make sure you click the like, subscribe